So, my karma with the microphone all the time doesn't go well. Maybe I'm previous lifetime very bad sound engineer. Okay. So, I think I have been in Guya Samaji Center then before, in another place, I think some place. And this must be like second time or third time or some second, something like that. Happy to see in the center community grow. Thank you. So while I'm here, so just to meet community member over here and share some, my thoughts, and you can ask also questions from me. I'll try my best to answer. And we think that some of you might have a study Buddha Dharma quite a long time. Some of you must be new and interested. So you can squeeze me today. So one thing in Buddhism, I think lots of in the Westerners, when they get interested in Buddhism, want to do meditation, want to gain realization. There's some kind of like expectation there. And I think it's good. It's not bad expectation. I think it's good. And we should have, at least we should know where we are going. Either we are clear or not. Good, I think good. Now, meditation is becoming very popular practice. Everybody. I think it's good, very good, very wonderful. Now here, one question we should ask for, once we get interested into this practice of meditation, and then we need to see what purpose I'm doing this. I think we need to look at the foundation, the motivation of why we are interested. It's just for kind of like self-liberation. It's just for like self-freedom, or just self-improvement. Or, we need to kind of look at it. And then through these questions, then I think those practice, I think we can take furthermore deepening. And I think it's very important, first getting this kind of exposure and interested, maybe many different type of intention or motivation. However, at the second, I think it's very important to ask, furthermore deepening our practice, we have to have a questioning for our own self, why I'm practicing. Knowing, kind of like a digging and searching very clearly the intention behind really opens furthermore, furthermore deepening our practice. So that's one thing. And then through that on, I think the practice of, once we're searching that, so what I'm trying to tell is that in Buddhism, one thing is a very important teaching. What he's really trying to do is trying to us to understand our human intention. Our human intention is the basis of everything. Our communication, our interaction, our friendship, our spiritual journey. And almost is like a source of ourself. We as a human being, just by the body, I think that the form is just the form, just the outside. Essentially, our human awareness, consciousness. And when we say consciousness and awareness, is kind of quite broad, but the fundamental, it comes to human motivation and human intention. So when I say study meditation into nature of the mind, and I think step number one is meditation into our human intention. If we want to know, I mean, like at this moment, understanding of human brain, even what I understood is it is quite limitation. There's so much to understand left. And then with the human awareness, human consciousness, I think it's really, in some way, I think it's beyond our human, how you say, capacity, this awareness level. But of course, it needs to kind of like go side by side. The more that our concentration, and particularly understanding and transformation of our human intention, can lead to understand furthermore our human awareness. So, long story short, what I'm going to tell is, in the Buddhism, I think one practice, what we can gain through meditation, is transforming our human intention and understanding our human intention, human motivation. Okay. So that's, I think, also gives a very clear picture of what is the purpose of meditation. Am I trying to just kind of like self-liberation or self-transformation? Okay. Yes, through kind of like slowing down our thought process, even just simply through the breathing meditation, we can get that kind of relief from very active conceptual grasping. But that relief also, I'm saying, is good, also opens a space for our transformation. But for that, we have to get furthermore, it's so much like how much I understand myself. Sometimes it's like, what you mean such a question? I think the important part is like how much we are aware our human intention. Our human intention is sometimes almost like cruise control. It's just like it goes its own automatic systems. It just goes through its own communication systems. It goes through kind of its own way. How much we are kind of aware what's happening there and why it's happening. Like then maybe we might ask this question: what is a spontaneity? We want to be a very spontaneity. Spontaneity have a quality of I warned you already. I have bad connection with the microphone. Okay, let's get it back. No, it's okay. Good. That's good.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. That's good. That's good. It looks like a 50% my karma and 50% this. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now concept of not necessarily say concept, but the feeling of insecure, feeling of disorientation, feeling of fear. All these are arising from where? Do we need to deal with those our regular problem. Yesterday I had one phone conversation interview, and first I can hear some nervousness, the person who are interviewing me. Maybe wrong, maybe, but something slightly different. Then later on, she asked me more and more questions. Then I noticed myself I'm a little bit nervous. my breath are not even, when I'm trying to speak. This is some kind of coordination and the synchronization is not working well. And because of that, maybe I can feel my heart rates are going a little bit faster. I'm getting more warmer. So I think, basically, our individual's peace of mind, peace, calmness, comes through the way we manage our human intention. We can be midst of a problem and chaos. But I think, and I really believe, when we have this prepared our human intention, and our human intention, our motivation and our intention is prepared, well prepared, and not caught into any kind of those conditions, being aware. Of course, it requires a certain level of mindfulness. Mindfulness, basically, I would say, mindfulness of our human intention. Mindfulness of the mind can become very broad, but mindfulness of my intention. So basically, that can bring strength, fearlessness, and which are those fundamental foundation for confidence. Okay. And also, mindfulness of our human intention it is a fundamental foundation to clarity and way to, path to discovering fundamental nature of our human awareness. Okay, that becomes a little bit complicated, but anyway, I would say, so mindfulness. So here it kind of comes, okay, mindfulness of my human intention. Okay, how I'm going to do this practice. So for us, for individual, for us, is I think two things. One thing, we need to kind of intentionally look to our intention. Intentionally observe our intention. Intentionally kind of like just kind of observe. That's I think is really important, because that kind of opens the path for the transformation of our humanity. Second one is intentionally we need to kind of redirect our human intention. Almost like a yoga practice. At the beginning, although you might have pains and aches around here, but you intentionally push yourself to that position. Then later on, through the benefit of the practice, without pain and ache, okay, there's some kind of like very spontaneously able to go through this process, physical yoga practice. The same way. So basically, so when we try to do that, when observing part, maybe we don't have any questions, but when we're trying to transform intentionally, redirecting our human intention, what question will arise is basically, who say, that looks really fake. I'm pretending. That's not really me. I'm here, another one is talking here. Meaning another opposite side, saying, go ahead, go fight, beat ego. Your ego is hurt. It's like all this different noise. And here in the meditation cushion, you're trying to kind of like, almost like you're faking. It's a fake. So, but that's, part of the practice. First, you have to pretend. First you have to do that things, exercise. Okay? So, the main challenge, what happened is there is some, when we're doing such a practice, mindfulness of our human intention, there is a contradiction you will experience. And through this contradiction is an obstacle. And contradiction is also, if we manage that contradiction, that can be very beneficial also. Seeing that, seeing the contradiction, recognizing the contradiction. Okay? May not necessarily be obstacle, but may be really feedback. I would say karmic feedback, because that contradiction comes from our imprint, karmic imprint, that habit that comes to. So what happens is, through we will experience such a contradiction, and that contradiction, if we don't manage very gently and kindly, then we may drop such a practice. But if we're able to manage it gently and kindly, close to yourself, basically contradiction creates some kind of like a distrust for yourself. But however, in this moment, transforming that energy into a positive direction. So what happened is really almost kind of that session of your meditation, you have to become almost like a different you, like a different person at that moment. It's almost seen as something different. It is not mixing with your conventional yourself, and meditation was that session is almost like you have to training into that is some kind of like an extraordinary state of your existence, something you don't mix with yourself. And that session, when you treat as a very holy and divine, or something extraordinary, I think that's really can help to overcoming this contradiction. Okay? So therefore, concept of usually when you say meditation is it's not only practice of a session. Meditation should be 24/7. Early, the concept of a session, meditation session, I'm doing session, and I think concept of a session is just the same as like a charging your battery. You can't have in Nepal, just I was coming back from Nepal, so there's lots of battery because the lights are not, so they comes whenever they wants to come, not because when people need it. Anyway, so it's a very batteries are temporary solution for light and power and energy, and you have to have something, kind of like a more reliable source. And session is the same thing. Session is a temporary solution. It's not solution forever, because we need to move our awareness through meditation. What that really means. And we understood meditation means not moving, quiet, maybe with some incense or some altars. It's kind of like a set idea and concept. But that meditation, yes, I think this kind of thoughts, this kind of concept and this kind of view, because most of us, when we say meditation, we can only manage in that kind of environment, controlled environment, fixed environment. We are not sure when I'm out of the meditation cushion how much I can manage. So therefore, sorry. So that leads a question for us. Also leads a question for all of us. Like, am I ready to meditate? Am I qualified to meditate? Maybe sometime, maybe in worst case, I'm not qualified my meditation. Look at myself. My thoughts are all all around place. Yeah. So now this question is a good question. Am I qualified to do this? Because today's world, we look for all the time qualification. We have a habit that. Am I qualified? So I think what do you think? Are we qualified? I thought I would be never qualified because my mind is too busy. Maybe you all have the same answer. I'm not qualified because my mind is so busy. Then later on, my readings and my own practice and my teacher's guidelines, then I thought maybe I'm qualified because my mind is busy. Same reason, not different reason. If my mind is not busy, energetic, I won't be qualified to meditate. I thought another way. So that's strange, huh? Right. Now, what is going wrong? That kind of alertness, that kind of excitement. Not the anxiety, but the excitement. There's a difference between anxiety and excitement. Excitement is positive or negative?
Can be both.
Can be both.
It depends where the excitement is about.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's true.
That's true. What is the negative excitement?
It takes you away from your goal, your...
I mean like excitement which is related with a distraction.
Yeah. But when it's directed towards your practice, it's wonderful. Because you're going to get somewhere!
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. That's reasonable. Okay. So anyway, so as you mentioned, our very active our thoughts and feelings and minds. So far, is not into. Let me use word. Virtue action, wholesome actions. Maybe it's much more. Active mind is so much related with the distraction. Okay, so over here, great meditator or deep meditator, I think, to become great meditator and to become a deep meditator, I think choice of our choice of our active mind, making the right choice, that only makes a difference. To become great meditator, to become deep meditator, we have to have this active mind. But the choice of that active mind makes the difference. Okay, choice. Okay. Now here, that's from that point of view, I think if we put this meditation as how I say, basically we are well trained in meditation. Let's make it this way. We are well trained into that skill, but we're using that skill due to our choice, skill going into the wrong direction. Okay, that skill is there, that skill. Okay, so here, now again, I am telling this, not just my own kind of things. There's some of the early texts have this kind of description. Yes, we all are great meditator, but meditating on the wrong object. We're well skilled in meditation, but we're using that skill for wrong purpose or wrong choice. Okay, so here again, this kind of feeling that I'm not a good meditator because my thought is so busy, I think that doesn't give us an excuse to not to meditate. Okay, so anyway, so now over here, the choice, when it's making a choice, our human choice, any kind of things that we make a choice, I think it comes through our human intention. Okay, now this is intention. So now our human intention. So now here, human intention, what is my intention? Was pretty much what is good for me. The basic structure of our human, generally speaking, our human structure of function or program or function of our human intent. Okay, what that brings to me, what that benefits for me. Okay, me comes first. Okay, I think it's okay. Me. First me. At our level, first me, I think it's okay. If you're not able to take care of me, then how you can take care of other? I think totally this concept of a totally disregarding me is also, I think, not good. We need to think. So here, what we're going to kind of like restructure our human intention is not like going another extreme, throwing out me totally out, and now I'm going to only focus into other. I think that doesn't work, because you need to have a balance first. There is almost like a balance. Our function of a self-interest is not only kind of coming through self-obsess. I think that self-obsess have to kind of overcome, bringing self-awareness into it. Even a self-interest, I think, is important, but you need to build up in a very non-violence way, in a very harmonious way. I think that's the first step to way to structure our human intention, which is a fundamental choice that in any part of our life, when we make a choice, basically our head, our intellect, may play some kind of important role. At the end, our human intention will make kind of like the final decision. Okay, so maybe our head may confuse our intention. Head tells kind of lay out all many different things, and then maybe for time being our human intention get kind of confused. But at the end, is the choice made by our human intention. So here, so now meditation, as I mentioned earlier, thoughts and awareness and this kind of very active mind, conjunction working with a very strong and balanced and powerful intention, working these two together, I think where our full human awareness, consciousness function. Okay, so that's I think so therefore, again, one of the definition of the meditation is that it can transform our human intention. Any questions? I'm talking and talking. Any question you can just raise, just ask me. I'm here today. Friday I'm leading. Any questions? Just raise. Don't feel shy. It's just like a conversation, okay? Don't be like a classroom. It's just conversation. Yes, please.
Will you talk more about human intention?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That helps me to expand my talk. So, very good question. Now, what is it in, human intention? When you look at it, this is not very complicated. I can understand, pretty much I'm not sure how I can transform, but I can understand quite quick the behavior of my human intention, my behavior, how I move, how I communicate based on which kind of intention. We might be able to get that very clear. But when we say intention, now I'll just use a little bit of philosophical terminology. In philosophical Buddhist texts, they call it like causal intention and intention at the time. It's a kind of like there's like a very kind of like a bigger picture kind of intention that kind of underlines everything. And then there's a kind of like a very specific intention that's trying to, almost like a foot soldier of that intention. So there's this kind of like we call like intention at the time. And there's this, concept of how we define intention is a virtue, intention is a non-virtue. Okay? So, intention at the time sometimes become very non-virtue, and the bigger picture that intention can be a very virtue. And these two are not two different intentions, but that intention at the time is a kind of basis into that bigger picture of that intention. The terminology we use is causal intention, causal motivation. Okay? So now, what will be the example of that? Like now before I go to the example, maybe we'll go this way. Causal intention become pure compassion. Then intention at the time can have a afflicted emotion. Afflicted in terms over here, it can have a intention at the time can have some kind of aggression. This is all I'm all talking like in our own level, our own daily life. We can, like for example, okay, you have a, big party into your house, and you have this. Okay, I want to open and welcome my guests. And you have this kind of totally openness. But maybe within that, some of the friends say, "Oh, I want to volunteer. I want to help you. What can I do?" But then, again, that person is opening and very willing to engage in support. But then you are the host, have this bigger intention, but in some detailed area, you may fall into aggressive. And that kind of like an immediate making decision and choice that kind of intention can be, rough, can be very rough. So intention is something that, almost this human complex, our human awareness, where they function, and making some kind of like a clear, sharp choice and decision. It have the bigger picture, and it have like almost we can say like a vision. It have the vision aspect, and it have also like the mission or whatever we need to like detail one by one how it's going to choice, how to make a choice. Okay, so can have some kind of very compassionate, very rough, and very aggressive. So intention, and intentions are basically, intentions are very much, I think, related with our human decision making, our human choice making. This is one of our, like very important area of our human life, human decision making, choice making. And of course, the key factor, I think, is the intention. Sometimes you accept yourself. Everybody thinks you should make another choice, and you think you should make this choice. This is maybe when we get advice from people, this kind of choice that we should make. When people look at, we seek for advice, and people kind of give based on their best intention and best awareness that we give it. But when those advice are not so much coming through your own personal karmic path, is assessment, observing what would be good for you. That. Now there is something within yourself tells that is the wrong choice. Why this happening? Why this, So anyway, whatever the outcome it is we can't say it is negative or positive. It is a very it depends to situation. Not only situation is pretty much depending aftermath of that intention, how it handles such a situation. Okay, so anyway, so intention is kind of like a causal intention and intention at the time. Based on parents have from depth of their heart have the full compassion for their loved ones and their child. But sometimes when things get not as it follows, frustration, and based on that frustration, there's some kind of rough action may come up. So such a choice, that kind of like a action, there's a causal intention, is perfect. The intention at the time can become rough. So now the question comes: what that means really karmically when you have this kind of like a contradiction intention, and that's the one thing. And another thing is usually when you have this kind of situation, the causal intention as a positive and intention at the time and kind of rough. Usually, this intention at the time is not that strong. It is almost like it's almost like like strong shower. It just showers strong and then it just stops. It's not that like a shower, that sometimes in Portland that, we can know the rain and how long it's going to stay. When it's kind of like pouring rain, it is beautiful. It will stop quite quick, and there's a beautiful rainbow will come out, and beautiful cloud, and different kind of colors in the sky. When the rain drops kind of very slowly and stays, that means you have like gray sky for a couple of weeks. Okay, so in it, this almost we can kind of take that external environment example and internally. The motivation, causal motivation as a positive, and motivation at the time as a rough and a negative seems like, but it's almost like that kind of like thunder shower, kind of really strong. It's very strong at the moment, but it clears out, beautiful comes out. Okay. So that means that basically such a rough and afflicted intention is a very weak, but it is a kind of like a purification in processing. Okay, it may not necessarily be considered as negative. Now, causal motivation becomes very negative, and the motivation at the time also becomes negative. That transforms into a grudge, and that's like it stays, and it's really kind of destroys yourself and absolutely your peace, and then of course destruction and damage for another. And so therefore, we as an individual person, when we're working with our human intention, I think like kind of like the vision, the bigger picture in any situation, given situation, we have to kind of like a constantly bringing the compassionate aspect, the virtue aspect, and motivation at the time. I think, we go through this kind of like a roughness and turbulence, but through our own experience, I think it opens such a big space to transformation. Then, of course, I'll say like a journey of our human intention, and okay. And then there's I mean, not necessarily to talk more into this. There's particularly one of the early Indian scholars called Vasubandhu, one of the great scholars, and his that's called Treasure of Knowledge. He have a lot of kind of digging into this concept of two motivation, how we function. Kind of like a causal motivation, motivation at the time. And he goes much more detail about different kind of like analysis, but not necessarily tonight. Those different terminologies, and it just becomes much more heady. Okay, so I hope I did best to explain these two types of intention. Okay, but over here, so I'm going back to the concept of meditation. So meditation, so here, definition of the meditation was defined through transformation of our human intention. Okay, so that's like from the purpose point of view. Okay, so now we talk, if that is the case, if I meditate, should I have something object to meditate? To focus, to concept of focus, concept of concentration. Okay, this whole thing comes up. I have no concentration. I'm attention deficit. All this another way to describe it. Okay, so I'll meditate. I have to concentrate. I have to kind of like a. So here, what is a concentration? What means a focus? Okay, one thing is is the meditation like, okay, if I need to stay focused, all of us, if we need to just stay focused into one object for 2 hours, I think I will get boring immediately. What you think? Are we trying to something that challenge our human boring feeling? And we just kind of getting stubborn with fighting with it, and then trying to stay with the one object and kind of like being stubborn again. And also we need to question our awareness, our consciousness is designed for such doing things, staying in one object. We have to look at itself, is a function and the nature of itself. If it's not designed to do that kind of things, and we're trying to push to doing that kind of things, maybe we will not pay attention. The other question comes, here's a concentration, is absolutely very important. I'm not embracing the attention deficit. It's a HD, what do you call this different terminology? HD, AD, I'm not kind of like embracing it. But I think, what really means concentration here? It's okay, you all can, what means concentration? You all can contribute. That's my question.
Lack of distraction.
Lack of distraction. Okay. How we define distraction? There's no set of things that this is a distraction. Maybe my distractions, maybe somebody is a concentration. If somebody is a concentration, it's my distraction. It's a possibility or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, who sets the rule? This is a distraction and this is a concentration.
Myself.
Myself. Okay. When you give myself, are we giving the powerful right person? Oh, that's also complex. Am I giving, if I make the choice what is a distraction and what is a concentration, maybe it's risky. It's too risky to give that responsibility. So here's it's okay. Anyway, so concentration, and then I think is important. Any concentration comes in a concentration works with the all. Not necessarily it works with the only with the meditation. It also works with the concentration. Works with attachment. Concentration works with the aggression and anger. And anger have a really good concentration. Attachment have a really good concentration. Okay. So here the field attachment don't have attention deficits. Anger don't have attention deficits. Okay. And okay, here's something. This is telling something. There's some part of the existence doesn't have attention deficits. Here, like what is missing? Why attachment and obsessed mind? Is the obsessed mind distracted or fully concentrated? Fully samadhi. So here, so for us is very important what really means the concentration and the focus. That's my one. I forgot to put it off. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so give me a break. This is quite new for me. Let's me try to close. Okay, so so here joyfully able to direct our human intention is, I will say, concentration. With the force, with the fear. Sometimes we can create fear. Oh, if you don't concentrate, emotional fear. If we can experience, not somebody have to create, but sometimes our own self create fear. So concentration requires some kind of joyfulness. Otherwise, it becomes very like a mechanic. You kind of tight. You're tightening the screw, and you tight it. Okay, so that doesn't. You may able to be into that state of awareness or that, but it is a fear base. Based on a fear. So, fear is also very. We need to understand. This is a very important part of our human. Also, I think the fear is like a marketing department for our human intention. But it sells us some bad things all the time. But they work together very good. So I think the intention and the fear, I think we need to kind of know better. We individual have his own things, his own department. We as a human being, we have our own individual, these two areas that works, and corporations who knows very well of human fear, they can and religion play a very important role for fear, human fear, and this, somehow for collective karma and also like a relative karma in that area, the fear play a very important role. Okay, so anyway, here. So therefore, a concept of joyfully directing our intention. That's, I think, is a concentration. Concentration need to be because of I say in some of the practice in the Lambin, in the Buddhist practice, before you train into the concentration, before you train into the practice such as mindfulness or anything, it kind of like a kind of like a prerequisite, or what you call prerequisite? Prerequisite is to some way to allowing our human faith. Faith have to play in some of the religious practice or meditation practice in Buddhism. Faith is a nurtured practice for concentration. Okay, so I think that's the really, really important. Okay. So when we today's world, when we say like attention deficit or whatever terminology we use related to the human concentration, I think maybe lack of a faith for our own self. Okay, so what that really means. I think it should have to come through when for children, let me say, it's lack of affection. Then I think there's some kind of harm and lack of affection is a key factor to creating in that child's life attention deficit. Okay, whatever we say that. And so I think when you say faith have a loving element, nurturing element. So basically, faith have some kind of a certain level of a let going, in a mature level, in a grown-up person, maybe ego, let go in the ego. Certainly you're maybe compromised. Maybe ego is willing to compromise. Okay, anyway, so in a certain practice, almost prerequisite in Buddhism, like for example, Shinya practice, which is considered as a concentration training, concentration practice, and prerequisite is refuge and bodhicitta. You have to have that. And so therefore, in a Brahmin, in a Shine training, it advise, what kind of object should I keep it into my concentration? The general advice is in Buddha Shakyamuni image, which is the inspiration for yourself. Okay. So concentration requires some kind of inspiration. So now that really brings the bigger question. What is the source of inspiration? Where is the inspiration coming from? And again, inspiration is also very interesting. Inspiration for me maybe is a disappointment for somebody. And inspiration is nothing something truly set standard. It's inspiration is just really is different to different, that kind of things. So. Do you think so?
Because I think everybody has a different direction to path to go. So the inspiration has to come from what is it that makes me tick, right? What is my goal? What is my purpose? It can be different for everybody. That's how I try to think about it.
Yes.
I tend to believe that all of us have the same intention to help others to be good. That's where the real happiness is. The overall intention as a human being. But we tend to forget that in our samsaric life.
Exactly.
But ultimately you realize that, and when you realize that, you start loving other people more, because that's their intention too.
Are we all right intention in a wrong environment?
Yes.
I think
that's,
we can say, what is the definition of samsara? The right intention in a wrong environment. How does samsara function? Okay, that's really. The reason why I'm asking, like when you say inspiration, my inspiration is for somebody is a disappointment. My concentration for somebody is a distraction. That really looks like, but it's, I have this, yeah.
What is your inspiration?
My inspiration? Wow.
Long time.
For me, harmonious is inspiration for me. I want to create harmonious. I think harmonious is a really important part of our human existence. As a social being, harmonious. That's, I think, for me, one of the source of inspiration. One of the sources of inspiration for me in creating peace. No, I'm not talking about like any condition, any symbols which brings, reminds peace and harmonious. I think these are really beautiful. I think now when we say harmonious, doesn't mean everybody becoming like a one dimension, like no different character. I'm not talking about that. And the harmonious, as you mentioning, fundamental our willingness to help, and that kind of not staying so kind of like behind the stage so far, maybe bring up a little bit up. So that's for me. I think that's now this kind of my inspiration for somebody. Oh, he's just kind of like a very I say very over optimism. They're saying, he's just kind of like very optimistic thinker. This is not possible because look at here, look at now, look at past, predict future. As such a thought for somebody is just a wasting time. For somebody, this makes much more kind of like alive. More breathing, more space. It's just like different to different. Okay, so again, concept of that's very true. But again, I have a second thought when I ask this question. My inspiration can be distraction for somebody. It makes somehow we are giving the choice and the kind of like the decision maker pretty much to ego. Looks like sometimes. If that's really true, my distraction can be inspiration for somebody, and that making like somehow there is no natural law, but there's no any kind of like it's almost like too individual, over individual. Yes, my distraction becomes somebody's inspiration. That's true because we carry some kind of individual karma. So that's really true. But that doesn't set us whole the picture. I think we should have some kind of natural law. So that really comes down to the question: what is the inspiration, generally speaking, for all of us, in a very general way we're speaking, comes down to what is the fundamental nature. What is our human nature? When we say what is our human nature, almost we are kind of giving full attention to only for human. In this universe, in this, not only us, there's more than us. Not only human being, there's so many creatures, difference. So when you say nature, what is the nature? So now again, here, some of the meditation in the Buddhism, kind of encourage into meditation into a nature reality. Okay, and nature of reality, or nature of reality. What is a fundamental nature? Is my fundamental nature is somebody's relative nature. Can I go like that way? No, can't go that way. And that becomes kind of like no structure in the nature law. No, my intention is somebody's distraction. My inspiration is somebody's distraction. My conventional reality is somebody's ultimate reality. It doesn't work that, and that becomes like, as I mentioned earlier, it becomes kind of totally chaos. So therefore, of course, our human emotional aspect, there's a kind of like a different choice, different flavor in everything, but that doesn't set the path and reality. So therefore, there's a different sets of meditation into nature of reality, nature of mind, and sometimes meditation of shunya, the meditation of emptiness. In that whole section, which really kind of like setting the fundamental ground not so much individuality. Okay? Of course, it needs to start through individuality, because our own individual can function, but at the end, awareness of a fundamental nature play a key role. What is inspiration and what is a distraction? Okay. So here, then we might think like how in a Buddhist meditation connects these two worlds, individual karmic experience and the bigger picture, which is the nature of reality, and how they looks like a contradiction, because individuality have a kind of its own kind of sets of rules and walls, and fundamental nature is like how they connect. Okay, and I think some of the meditation, even kind of meditation is some kind of like a lab. I think like it's like when you're doing a meditation, is basically you not avoid negative thoughts. When it comes to the second meditation into reality and nature of reality, in such a meditation when you're doing it, you need to bring your aggressive awareness. You need to bring this into a meditation. Okay, step number one. Of course, that sounds like inviting trouble in the house. Yes, in a way, when I go in that area, I get out of control. That's the whole thing. Yeah. So, but of course, it is at the beginning in the meditation in nature of reality or meditation in emptiness is almost like what you call like sometimes you see in the television there's some people doing very dangerous things, but under the supervision of what you call sometimes they don't do this in your house. It was done by what you call this professionals or others. There's somebody knows what they are doing. Basically. So of course it needs to be a controlled environment. It's done through supervision. What we do is when you inviting, intentionally bringing very powerful, uncontrollable, affected state of mind, you have to be prepared. You need to be aware. You have to have a clear plan, basically. that meditation requires clear plan. I'm not sure sometimes you can execute it, sometimes you're not able to, every plan is up. You can have a good plan, but that doesn't mean you can able to accomplish. Okay, so as the same thing. So for this one, meditation into a nature of reality, you need to have a good plan because you are inviting very dangerous things inside. So afflicted, you're bringing such a very powerful state of our emotion, but your plan is you want to see who is the back of the stage, not in the front. Don't your attention give into the stage. On the stage is only these afflictions. You have to look who's the what's called? You said who's the back of the stage, or what you say? Who's the pulling the
Behind the
stage
curtain.
manager.
behind the who is the one pulling the string? Basically, master, or who is the producer of that affliction, or director of that producer that affliction. So basically, meditation into nature reality or emptiness. At the beginning, there's many different approaches. One approach for us is basically bringing these powerful afflictions and looking behind that, not getting distracted onto the surface and getting behind, able to look at it. Of course, it requires, sometimes, we say like, please just don't bring that topic. We have that kind of expression, but in the meditation of nature reality, such a case you need to intentionally bringing such a topic into your meditation and looking behind. Basically, you're looking to behavior of your ego, fundamentally. And what you are looking for is what kind of ego setting law of nature, law of reality. Okay, so so I would say majority of the meditation of emptiness in the early part. I think that's the kind of like that. If you're climbing a Mount Everest, they mentioned there's some parts like really difficult to go through, and I think that majority time it takes not able to cross through is these areas that bringing a very powerful emotion, not distracting on the stage, but able to look behind, and not only that, able to observe the way it sets the nature of a reality, the ego. Okay, majority time takes over there, and that's I think then through this. And then you kind of like go beyond the convention. Once we're able to able to cross through that journey. Word emptiness. What you feel? It is a very blessed word. Shunya. In Sanskrit. Don't you think it was a little bit mean? Because of our ego, you get hurt. I think it is something like you're feeling sleepy and then like what do you call that?
Slap.
That slap. Emptiness is a slap for our ego. I would say that. This is, okay, anyway. I think it's not time to slap, time to go to bed. Okay, anyway. I'm just talking blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, when we say meditating into the nature of reality, is it like something that you have to meditate like 20 years or 40 years to get to that?
Okay. I'm not saying I have any realization, but I'm kind of like how you say, maybe my wrong hope. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I ask so because
Yeah, that's a common question. That's really one area that's, this world, everything is with a number in time. You are good, how many hours you did it? How many times you did it? And yes, because the time and hours, somehow, some way we have to kind of like standardize or some way to see the things. But I think meditation with emptiness or realization, if you're in the right time, in the right place, right time in the right place don't require, 20 hours, or there's no sets of rules. There's no sets of rules. So I feel, of course, it's not just run in the base on luck. I'm also not telling that, realization is runs based on luck. It's like a lottery. I'm not talking like it's a lottery based of a kind of experience, but we have a full of a choice and opportunity to have that access. So therefore, is that access requires time? It is. I don't think so.
Does need time though. Does need time though to digest.
you know,
Depend on
general speaking, yeah, maybe we have to say some time, but I think when it comes to the individual level, I don't think so. To get the knowledge of a PhD, maybe to get the degree, maybe you have 7 years or whatever it is, but to have that knowledge, maybe some people don't want to, you know, better knowledge than PhD. They haven't had the graduate, but more deeper knowledge possibility. Deeper. Even Bill Gates drop, high school drop or college drop or something. Anyway, somebody genius. You know, genius doesn't require time and hour. And I think it's the same way.
Yeah.
I think you know, it is of course we need to create that condition, but it doesn't kind of fall down. I'm in the right place in the right time. Okay, yeah, I got it. Of course we need to create the condition, but time sets of kind of things. You know, I don't know how to set the time to realize emptiness. It's difficult to set the time.
So next set of question would it be possible just contemplating on it or doing an analytical meditation? Can one realize emptiness that way? Is that ever a possibility?
Okay, then, yeah, I think what you're saying is if that's the case, where we kind of position our own self, where, at least where we should be. And in such a question, I think what you're saying is exactly, we have to build up some kind of a habit. Basically, I will say, if we're able to change the ego-driven habit, then I think we can be in the right place in the right time. By changing itself is the process to being into the right time in the right place. Is not kind of two different things. Because as I mentioned earlier, is that kind of practice. Okay.
So what are you feeling at that moment? What is happening inside of you at that moment, and feeling at that moment that you slept?
Oh. You know, again, I'll go through the instructions into the text. Sometimes very sad emotion, heavy emotion. Sometimes very joyful emotion, happy, excited. So it is something extreme emotions that individuals go through. That's how it describes into the when you have once. Sometimes you get slapped, but you don't feel you get slapped. But when you're able to feel that slap, and then and sometimes disappointment, and sometimes joyfulness. The disappointment because you recognize yourself. You fool yourself all this time. You're disappointed. You're happy. Basically, I think at that moment, which kind of of course, it depends on your own journey of the path. You came much more through much more harsh journey, or you're able to take the journey much more through the joyful journey. I think that may play important role at that time of that slap of emptiness, joyful state, or disappointment state.
So it's the calmness and the emptiness of that after moment that tells you you have reached to the bottom.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Let's say it again. It's the calmness
Mm-hmm.
required
Mm-hmm.
that you feel, that you sense,
Mm-hmm.
that tells you have reached to the bottom, to the ego, to the person behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
it's a lack of rapid breath, lack of heartbeat, I don't know how physically and mentally it all comes together, but something is happening at that moment to tell you you are there. Yes, no?
Okay. I think, I don't know.
Perhaps when you surrender the ego and embrace the moment.
You know, when you are in that kind of deep meditation of emptiness, there's no feedback. Any feedback comes, and that's not good sign. And particularly when you are when you're beginning to meditating in emptiness, if you are hoping or you are sensing some kind of feedback, that's basically why that feedback is not good. Because at that moment you are so new into such a meditation, that feedback is a package for the ego. It is the ego will come with that feedback, and that's exactly it get kind of entrance into that wisdom and drag. So no feedback. There's no such a assessment. Did that happen good? It does not happen good? Or am I doing wrong? Am I going right? There's no any of those kind of things. Emotional impact. There's not any kind of feedback or assessment, but you kind of not so much looking how it happened, but you just follow what's going to come out after that. Is so much about moving forward journey, not so much like a kind of looking to feedback was. So no feedback. Okay, thank you so much. Let's stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
do a short silent meditation. Just calm down. Okay, you can stay whatever your position, and trying to calm down, and if you can, generate some compassion. Okay. Zeba zumba gunde jejado zumba donde nimajado Nama gudan chalo chashi zamba che hiroga bande da ninja gara jeju Hamo zema damsi sema da hande jeju jodo sema de damba de takime Daja jesu zembe gyure gyure chi simje gwinti tengi jere dani hiroga gyune simje damje hiroga kogon jona gaji Jodi zedar matobyan chizi jene gwajeji yuwa chudini bedo Oza desamu gusuba ju dene chibu sesi jejen namjuro dulanji gwazebe Namda kaju nesu tini samelanji wendo taraji ju ninju wanju chibi jujuwa Deju jiru jijin yamba di chijin jijin tandu jungu 수디 주도 도면 유된데 항상 리니죠 유자지 다원은 좀 하는 거지 이와면 보다 좋은지 kama shabre mamen ta joma seba jogo da minum do da jinda go duje chunam de da sunam di tamji seba ye kobon do no kin ji jo to ta ka da na da chibe sibe sole jogo jogo sho chizi namga neba da mon jogo chizi ne ge ba tizi da mi go no jogo to no seba sho. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.